Matt here from the gear shed again. Sorry I sound a bit coldy, got a bit of a cold coming on. Right, so what are we looking at today? This is a tent from AliExpress. If you ever cruise the AliExpress website, which is kind of like the Chinese version of eBay, or the retail wing of Alibaba, they do sell a lot of lightweight backpacking gear. And the biggest thing is obviously looking at the pictures and the descriptions, as the Chinese are usually quite liberal with definitions of things about how fantastic it is. It's always hard to know what sort of quality you've got, so I ordered one of these, and this is basically a copy, I suppose, of a design that's been around for a number of years. Henry Shires does something very similar. Trekking Tent in Scotland, Trekking Tent in Scotland do a stealth one, which is very similar design as well. So everybody's kind of semi-copying everybody else. So essentially this is a two-pole trekking pole tent, model off the old-fashioned A-frame look. It's got a sloping A-frame, so you've got a pole at a higher height at one end, lower height at the other. The description described it as being fly made out of siliconized nylon, 20 denier. Yeah, definitely think it is. Definitely feels like silicone. It's not seam sealed or anything like the inside, so it's not like a silicone on the outside, PU on the inside. It's supposed to have a waterproof rating of about 2,000 millimeters, so we'll see. And the floor was supposed to be 30 denier siliconized nylon. Now I think it's definitely nylon. It's a ripstop. It's more like a PU coated one, not massively coated. It's quite crinkly, so it doesn't seem like it's very thick coating. It's supposed to be 3,000 millimeters, which is kind of a bit borderline for a floor. But obviously they're trying to keep the weight down and cost down and things like that. So weight wise, all up with the pegs that they come with, I weighed it about 980 grams. Bearing in mind you actually obviously have to supply your own trekking poles to keep it up. Doesn't come with any poles at all. Packs down quite small, packs down sort of a little bit bigger than a self-inflating mat, so it's quite respectable. It's got, when I looked at the description, the website, it had a picture without those side things on, one picture without, one picture with, so that this definitely does come with side guy out points. What we'll do is we'll have a run around and look at quality. Price wise with these things, they're kind of like whatever you can get them for, sort of like about 50 to 100 pounds. Stitching's not that flash on here. It's serviceable, but it's not super quality. This is a very light fabric, very light, so it's going to be, I would say, just on the feel of it, it's very difficult to sew. There's no reinforcements on the flies. Fly fit is a bit marginal. I might have to do some tweaking to get that to fit perfectly and get a gap between the inner and the outer. So you can see like that pole's there and that pole's there for the inner, but the little tab that they've sewn on here is a good couple of inches away. If I move it to there, the inner sags. So what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to sew the inner up, so this inner is a little bit smaller, and that will give it that gap. Okay, and also if you have your pole right at the end, you're going to probably have, I don't think you can see it in the sun, you can have quite a bit of a gap, which is okay for airflow. I mean, you're not going to get wind and rain blowing up there too much. There is quite a high bathtub floor, so it shouldn't be too much of a problem. If not, I can always rig something up inside to rectify that. So inner first, put the inner up. It's got a little vestibule in the front. As you can see that there, that seam's not probably the flashiest seam in the world. So let's have a look inside. It's got a single zipper with a storm flap, goes over the top. I think the biggest thing for me with this is that it's been a long time since I put an A-frame up, and I've just forgotten actually how complicated it is to get the pitch right. They're always very reliant on getting the right amount of tension in the right places and get it pegged out properly and everything else. So it's quite reliant on this peg. It's not going to stand up without much in the way of pegs in it. So one thing I noticed, I've got these little ties. It's got two little ties on the side door here, but they are actually sewn all the way through. Well, that one there isn't, but this one here is. So there is a chance that the outer will wick moisture into the inner tab, and you'll get a bit of leaking in there. We'll see how that goes. So you can see, get in here, there's a bit of a gap between the two of them. The mesh in is quite needs to be, I need to tweak it a little bit to get it to sit right inside, because I think the fly, it's all very, you know, it's the first time I put it up, so we have to have a play with it to get it right. Essentially the trekking poles, and then we can see that fit into little pockets in the inner, like that, holds them in place, and then you've got your inner. So there's quite a bit of a, let's climb in here, there's quite a bit of space in here. As you notice from my other reviews, I'm 6'1", this measured out at 200 centimeters, so 2 meters in the inner. I was thinking, ooh, might be a bit dubious on length, but actually it's quite good. Head just touches either end. Little pots on the side, fairly rudimentary. Now the reason I went for this is again to get your weight down. Weight comes down quite considerably, getting into the under a kilo. So I was getting that weight down. I was going to be using trekking poles anyway, so the idea with that is obviously you're going to save a lot of weight with your poles. I have to take your poles with you. Right, and headroom, if I sit up in here, turn around and see my ugly face, hang on a minute. There's a fair bit of headroom, 6'1" again, plenty of room in there, so you're not going to be fighting. Supposedly this is a two-man tent. Again, Asian two-man, it's going to be quite difficult to get two big burly blokes in here with your mats. You can probably get two standard camping mats in here. It's just you're not going to have a lot of room once you're up and running. So as I said, the floor is a ripstop nylon. You can see it's PU coated. It's not super burly, but like a lot of these tents now, it's cutting down the weight, so they just go for lighter and lighter fabrics. If you're careful with this, I'm probably going to use a footprint with it as well. It's going to be the way to stop it from disintegrating before it's time. Let's zip this vestibule up so you can get an idea. It's got quite light zippers. I doubt if they're YKK. Oh, sorry about the dogs barking, guys. But the YKK zippers would be doubtful. So it's not a massive tent vestibule. It's not a huge vestibule. It's probably enough just to get you out of the weather and the like. I think with this is going to be a case of tweaking it on learning how to pitch it properly to get everything to sit right, to get these to work out how to do your trekking poles. Because I think some ways I might have this pole here, this top pole, done up too tight, and that's why I'm getting gaps in, because there's a fair amount of gap there. But again, I have to play around with it a little bit and do some bits and pieces to make it fit right. So yeah, so that's, if you've seen one of these on AliExpress and wondered what the go was, now you've kind of give you a better idea. That's certainly not a super duper top of the range tent by any means. You know, it wouldn't be betting your life on it on a Arctic crossing or something, but for, you know, lowland stuff, it's going to keep the material seems to be quite waterproof. I've sort of run it under the old run it under the tap trick, which is not really handled there. So it gives you an idea. So as always, subscribe and comments in the comments box. Cheers, guys.